Ladies and gentlemen, it is time to build. It is time to construct in this world. All of you, all of us, we know what is going on in the world, and we also know that it is time to do something different. Because of that, and because these two platforms have told me very clear I cannot talk much about things that I used to talk as an activist, I being directed, let's put it that way, to do this kind of programs. Today we are going to have a person, hi Carla Trigo, who
Hi.
I really don't know exactly all the things that you do, which is good. But I know that we are going to talk about a subject that to me is crucial to move on in life. Very, very welcome to you, Carla, and thank you for giving your time to talk about this very deep subject. And the first thing that I want to ask you is, how did you get to start doing the work that you do and explain the work that you do? And where are you coming from?
Okay, yes. First of all, thank you very much for your invitation, and thank you for being in front of your audience. So I'd say hi to everyone. So I'm Carla Trigo. I am originally from Spain, and I live right now in New York for the last 9 years. My background is in as a high performance life coach and as well online business strategies, right? With consciousness, I help human beings to really shift the paradigms and to transform the old belief system, right, into possibilities. And for those that they have beautiful businesses, to up level the game and to really create with more awareness about who you are and who you're becoming in that process, right? While you are super successful and when you are release the tensions of those packages that we are carrying from our past experiences. So just a little bit in general.
You mentioned two things that are very important, success and business. So the kind of business that you coach people to is not just the standard business that we used to read in books and many successful people.
Mm-hmm.
And the kind of success that you are talking about is not exactly the same. I would like you to explain a little bit. Because, in my opinion, this is the way to do the things right now when we have this access to everything, people's life, people's information, and we need to use it in the right way with honesty.
Yes, I love that you lead that conversation to that path. And the reason is because I think that people are tired to so much information. And what they desire is to embody who you are when you're doing what you're doing, right? And that's the differences. The paradigms have changed. And well, last year, right, because of the situation that we're living in, gave us the opportunity to bring it into different awareness about how we are related to other people, how we are doing business, how we are educating our kids or ourselves, how we're building relationships and so on. So the things have changed completely. It's not more the old way to do things, right? It's more the way to connecting within to be able to express who we are and really start focusing in what is positive and what creates the environment for us to be successful, more joy, have more joy in life, and to bring the things that really matters, not the things that we think that matters, right? Because normally we are living in the illusion and we are not living in the reality. So we have to be very clear about that, to shift and to be awake about how many things that we can do and how many things we can embrace when we allow those things to be in our lives. Yeah. Oh, I cannot hear you.
What is the illusion? What is the reality? And what is it that we have to be aware of?
Okay, great questions. I love it. So let's put us in perspective, right? So when we grew up, when we are just came to this earth, right? We have parents, we have the culture, we have education, right? That impacts our soul and impacts our lives itself, right? So that means that the subconscious mind starts to create some kind of connections, right? And that builds a way how we see the reality, right? And as we grow up, so certain traumas or certain experiences can really paralyze us. And this is like we are putting again our bag in the backpack and starting to put all the things there, right? And when we are afraid about something, we take those information, we put in the glasses, and we see the reality through that glasses. So that what happened is like sometimes we are not living the reality itself. We are living the reality as we grew up, right? And this is something that we need to be very aware, because if not, we will live in that illusion, in that perception of the reality, right? And this is completely different about be conscious about the feelings that we have, the thoughts that we have, and how those creates really the environment creates the reality that we live in. And the great thing is that we can be creators. We can shift completely the reality if we don't like that. Yeah. So that's the illusion part. Oh, I cannot hear you.
What happened, I turned off the microphone so we don't have an echo on your voice, and I forget. I read a little bit about you and your Facebook page, and you mentioned in your case that you had an event when you were a child or young age that affect your life very deeply. So why don't you tell the experience so people start knowing what are we talking about? What are the things that, because most people, until we are aware of that, we don't understand why this is going on in my life.
Yes. So, for example, in my life, right, when I was 8 years old, my life was phenomenal, very beautiful, a lot of joy, wealth around, and so on. And suddenly, everything fell apart. My parents got divorced. Suddenly, I couldn't see my father. I was not with my mother. I was with some aunts or uncles, and after my father died, and I saw myself working in a circus at the age of 8. So completely create a catastrophe of perception of the reality, right? And the emotion that collapsed my vision right in that precise moment was the fear of being alone or the abandonment, right? So later on, we create some kind of protection. We protect ourselves to be safe. And this is when comes the fear to be shown, right? Or you are afraid to be noticed, right? Because if you're noticed, maybe you think in your subconscious mind that someone is going to leave you, right? Or you need the recognition to be able to validate yourself. And when you're starting to really heal your traumas or your moments of more impact that impact our souls, right? We can start bringing into the awareness that we can shift that subconscious mind, right? And instead to being autopilot and just recreating scenarios that are very similar, we can absolutely shift to something that is in serve to us, right? So this is one example. But also we have during our lives many many other things. I can relate it to one client that I had, that she was dressing, she's beautiful, and she was dressing like a man, right? And the reason was because she was not happy in her body. He was not happy in her physical, because when she was 18, she went to look for a job, and the person that was interviewing her told her that she was completely awful and horrible for how she looks like, and that impact her soul, right? And created a neural pathways in the brain to show better is to hide myself, right? And not to be shown. So we have chosen the path of our lives to be able to shift those shadows into the gifts, right? And any sadness or any circumstances that could be very painful, always we have the opposite. We can shift it our focus and to learn from those things, right? And to have the positive. And if we learn the lesson, we can absolutely bring our gifts into their reality that maybe will help another people to shift and to be more happy and to grow and so on.
because I am, and my background is in electronics, in engineering, I understand the things in a different way. Different people
Mm-hmm.
understand things in a different way. And in the coaching that I do, I include the energy and the consciousness. So
Mm-hmm.
these traumas, like the ones that you had, and it reminds me of a story of this man that was failing in everything he did. And this coach asked him, why do you think it's happening to you? Because I don't have brains. I
Mm-hmm.
said, why do you say that? Because when I was a child, somebody told me that I don't have brains. Who told you that? My brother. My brother told me all the brains of our parents, of the family, came to me, you have no brains. And the little guy believed on that.
Mm-hmm.
So we see it from the energy point of view like an energy blockage, a toxic energy it's there. But it's a pattern that
Yes,
was instilled in our brain because somebody told us something is exactly the same.
it
And,
is.
and that trauma followed him for the rest of his life. So those are a few examples. And for example, I just want to mention the way that our parents treat us. This is crucial.
Mm-hmm.
Another very common example is a broken heart, but a broken heart could be because of our grandmother just died, or a friend fought with us and don't talk to us anymore. Of course, a romantic
Mm-hmm.
relationship, most people interpret a broken heart. Broken heart could be our pet that is sick, and that affects us and is somewhere in our system. Now, um, when people come with this kind of, those are what Carla calls baggage. Many people
Mm-hmm.
understand that. As an engineer, I like to say energy blockages or toxic energies. When somebody comes, and how do you help them to release those false beliefs, for example?
Well, I love that you put into motion the energetics because it's what I work with. I'm very analytical and science in that way. And we are energy. We have a body, physical body, right? But we are all energetic. We are all electromagnetic compounds. So we have a field, and I work a lot with the quantum physics in the lifestyle of how we can shift those paradigms, and as well in the business side, because I think that we have to bring the spirituality into everything that we do, right? But in this case, when you are understanding the energetics that that person comes to, you have to understand the biography, right? You have to understand from where this person comes to, where are the patterns that is in all the normally every 7 years of the life of the person things happen, right? And you have to really bring into the awareness what happened, and to be able to give the opportunity for the other person to find the answers. It's not you as a coach to show them what you need to do. The coach is, if it's a good coach, needs to create the environment for other person to realize what are the tools that that person has to release that tension, because it's all about the stress, right? It's all about the tension and the stress that we believe and that we put in tune in towards something, right? But if we shift the attitude and we shift as well the intention towards that, that is energy, right? We can shift completely the way how we see things. And it's all about chemistry and all about physics right here. And I love this field because I have to understand in the scientific way how this happened, right? In the spiritual world, and how we can shift that thing. But as well, the thought is a chemistry pathway, right? We have an impression, and the brain works with images. It's not working with concepts as well. So if a person comes and have any problem, or even the business, you can apply the same things in the businesses, right? So it's just to shift and to shift the opposites. I work a lot with the love of nature, and just when you transmute what is not working into the possibilities, and to shift the focus in with some anchoring, tools that you can shift the image that you build in your conscious, in your subconscious, right? And this is when the awareness come into it, and you embody the new things, and this is when the results are coming easily, beautifully, and that's it. That doesn't mean that the fear is not going to come, right? Or the doubt, or the self-sabotage, and so many other things, fear of success, fear of failure, procrastination, so many other things that we can, I don't know, sadness and anger, frustration, right? All these low frequencies, right? So we need to understand them, we have to allow them, we have to accept them, and shift them. And when we do that, it's an inner work, right? We can absolutely be incredibly successful.
I want to read two comments.
Yes.
Ray White says, live and let live, never lock down or any, unless it's to pick them up. Spirituality on physicality. Very interesting. Thank you so much for your thought, deep thought. Then Viv says, as you get older and wiser, you see like life a different perspective and help those who needs to see the path a different way. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you very
This is
much. I love
phenomenal.
it. Yes, it is.
Yes, phenomenal.
Yeah.
But the right comment that says spirituality and physicality, I want to explain why we need to resource to spirituality, because we are not just this physical body. And I'm going to say very quickly, I have my videos. Our soul, which is part of the spirit, is attached to three bodies: a consciousness body, an energy body, and this physical body. So this thing that we have here is the product of the other two. We cannot, about, I don't know, years ago, I went to a seminar, a friend invited me, and this guy, a PhD in psychology, he said, nowadays, we cannot talk almost about anything if we don't recognize, he said, the quadruple nature of human: a physical body, a mental body, emotional body, spiritual body. So this is why, and nowadays more than ever, we need to consider the spiritual part and the energy part. Absolutely. You also mentioned a transformation, a transmutation.
Transmutation.
So what does it mean, transmute something?
Well, if you see in the physics, right, as well, it's all about energetics. So when you are just shifting the way how the weight of something is, you transmute it. You're not only transforming, but you are creating another pathway to see things differently. So this is what happened in our brain as well. So there is one of the tools that I use are super interesting because it's all based in science, but as well based in the spirituality part, is to understand and to unlock the potential that we do have as a human beings, right? In your DNA. We have the memory, our body and our cells, our soul, as you said very well, right? Is not only the physical body, is the etheric body, is the astral body, is the I am body, is the supraconscious, not supra consciousness, and so on. And it's all based as well in all the memory that we have as we are walking, right? And through understanding the law of nature as well and how this impacting our souls, right? When we were born, we are connecting with not only the telluric forces, but as well with the universal forces, right? So we are one. The problem is that we divided as we grow up because it's better to be in division than not in union, right? So this technique, what it does is really connect with that part that is hidden in your cellular level, right? And when you understand what is your shadow, what is your gift, and what is your higher essence, you can absolutely do the work in different level. And to understand your purpose life, you understand as well which kind of relationships you have to build in within you to be able to succeed, right? What is the prosperity in your coding, and what is the DNA says to you? So it's super interesting because we all have in us the opportunities to tap into that greatness and to receive from the source incredible messages, incredible language that we can understand. And it's very important to make this happen in the awareness. We are not zombies that you just came here, growing, going to college, get married, have some savings, and later on go to retirement and go and die. I think that we have a huge purpose. We all have a mission. We all have a kind of really big vision of ourselves, and we have to bring that into the awareness, right? And to be responsible and proactive about our lives. We have incredible gifts to give in this society, and more than ever in this humanity. So we have to put us into action. And if those things that we are carrying, like fear, doubt, and so on, and all this pain, right, in the collectively, right, we can absolutely shift it into something completely different. And that's why we are creators, and that's why we are connecting with the divine force. And that's why spirituality and physicality has to be together, because it's part of the one. We cannot fractionate it, right? And that's the passion, is to be able to be absolutely we can do it. We can create and manifest beautiful things in this world. If we know what we don't know.
You mentioned that we are one, but we are separated. I was thinking this morning, this is the right time to understand that we all are one, because the whole human kind is immersed. No, but now we all have the same problem. It doesn't matter where were you born, what are your beliefs, or anything else. We all have the same situation. Who is going to fix it if we don't fix it together? There is no time for separation anymore. Mm-hmm. And we know that many times we learn hitting ourselves against the wall. This is a typical American phrase. And, well, this is the time. This suffering will bring something better. But we all have to participate. And again, to all the people of this beautiful community we have created in 3 months, that used to be my internet marketing Facebook page, not anymore. We need to do something. Mm-hmm. We don't have time anymore to be spending the whole day who did that and who did the other, because we know already. Yes. So we are together in this, and we are going to get out together too. I remember in 2015, since you mentioned quantum physics, I did a video, a 1-hour video. The title was Energy Healing, the Practical Application of Quantum Physics. It was very successful. And well, quantum physics explains a lot of things that no other science explains. But when we study engineering, one of the things that we study is that energy cannot be destroyed, can be transformed. So the energy is there, and you mentioned this transformation. Why don't you tell us an example, a typical example of a client, like that woman that was dressing as a man, another example that is educational for us?
That is related to shift from...
anything, somebody who had a big baggage, a big trauma, a big situation that for himself or herself couldn't resolve it. And how was it resolved?
Well, I do have few, but I remember, a lady that she was abused, right? And it was, of course, it's a painful moment for a person. And also was mixed with the situation that she died. I mean, she lost her mom. And she felt few things. The abuse, right? So it was painful from the old self, the abandonment, right? Her mom died, and also to confront herself in the new situation. So one of the things is you need to understand few aspects. First of all, to understand which kind of person you have in front of you, right? But for me, it's very important to the type of temperament that this person could have. It's like speaking the language of the person that comes to me, right? It's not the same choleric, that a phlegmatic, that a melancholic, that is sanguine, right? So we need to apply and to provide with the tools that are needed to be understood. I also work with art therapy, or colors, or tools that are super high in frequency, right? Like we saw, music is one, art is another, nature for sure. And those are really shifting the chemistry in your cellular level, right? And this is very important as well with business. So I'm a business lady, and I apply all these beautiful techniques as well to up level the game in your businesses, right? In this case, this lady has the main core thing. She was melancholic, so the soul was more in tears, right? She couldn't up level. It was completely different for a person that could be sanguine, because the sanguine has more the energy to put themselves out there, right? So in this case, what she needed is to work, for example, with blue colors, or colors that are connecting with the fifth chakra, right? And as well, colors that they are nourished, that they are connecting, that they are bringing to the person to a safety place. And when the person is safety and feels connected, right? This impact very well in the limbic system, right? So the emotions are starting to open, to decoding the code, right? So when you are put it into the situation and you show them that even though, right, there is a lesson behind it, and you can focus in what is possible, then the healing process come in, right? But you have to understand that energetic with that person, because the language is the language of the light, and you have to absolutely connect in that level. Well, during that process, this lady, she's a speaker right now, and she's, go speaking about her story, and her story is impacting other people's, other ladies' story, right? And you know what one of the things that I teach is to be still. You have to create the environment for the other person to start connecting in within them, instead to be outside, right? So when you do that, something happen in your soul, and something is bringing into your talents and your gifts and your uniquenesses into practice, and to understand that I was not my entire self. What happened? I'm more than that. So when I see it and I'm not connecting emotionally with that, even though we know that we are, but we can act differently, is when the healing process is coming, and the solutions and the more successes in every single area of our lives will come to us, right? So it's phenomenal, because we need to respect the rhythms, and to understand how those rhythms are impacting as well the way how we are interacting with others. And if we are coaches or mentors, we need to understand those rhythms to bring and to pull magically the the good things in other people's lives, right? And this is a huge trauma, but it's possible to see the opposite. It's super important to help other people to see the opposite.
That's a great story. I really like that you mentioned that, because even in my practice, when many of my clients has gone through sexual abuse, and this is something that is an epidemic. This is a pandemic. What we have now is not. Oh, I shouldn't say that. But you mentioned something very important at the beginning. A coach help people to understand the situation, so they will find the solution inside. And now here, I see in what I rescue from your Facebook page, and it says, and you let these all experiences affect your thoughts, feelings, and behavior. I always mention that energy blockages affects our moods and actions and reactions, of course, feelings. So, and some people can come and tell you, hey, Carla, but, for example, but I cannot take this thought of my mind. I cannot take this feeling. What else do you do for people who they've been through so much, or they don't have the capability to resolve a situation, and they resort to alcohol and drugs or other things, and they cannot get out from there? This is a tough situation, but how do you approach these tough situations?
There is many combos here. We have to understand, first of all, what is the life plan for that person, right? We cannot intervene if the person is not ready to do the work or to do that. I know that my tools works, but I know I have to understand in which level that person is, and we have to be open, with very humble, to respect that maybe that person is not ready to do the next level, right? And to be compassionate and to be with love always, for sure. But for those that are open to really understand that it's important to do the work, is a very scientific, steps by step, right? I mean, the environment always are going to impact the way how you see that reality. And that reality creates the thoughts, right? Is you need to comprehend what is going on, and that is going to immediately connect it with that emotion. And emotion is connecting with the dynamics of how we're going to react or how we are going to be more proactive. So if we are reacting from the lower frequency, and that this means that there is fear, or there are more 5 emotions: the fear, sadness, anger, or frustration, and the 2 good, that they are happiness and joy, right? So if we are just reacting with these 2 low frequencies, that's the emotion. Doesn't mean that is the feelings. The feelings are millions, right? And those depends of the other thousands of circumstances. But so if it's reacting, we know already that is a part of themselves that are connecting with that emotion that doesn't let them to move forward, right? So the exercise will be, first of all, to understand from where those fears come, or from where this sadness come, right? And to bring into the awareness certain tools that the person can use when those fears or the trigger will come again to their lives, right? So when you have more tools that are more in the positive, or in the way that is going to bring solutions, and then you're going to focus on that solutions. It doesn't mean that it's not going to come. Of course, fears, and of course doubts, and of course all kind of things are going to come in our reality, because we are physical bodies, right, with great experiences in the spiritual realm. But still, we need to do the work here in the physical, in our earth. So those experiences are going to come. The good thing is, if you have those tools to face them, you can shift slowly but surely that process. The other thing that I always is, we don't have to rush the processes, and we have to contemplate, to be in observation, right? They taught us that we need to rush and hustle all the time, and this is the worst thing that we can do, because the human being is just being connected in the alignment, right? And when you're in alignment, in silence, in this stillness, is when the magical and miracles are happening. And this is one technique that I teach my people in business. Is the first thing that okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's do this, right? Let's create this moment of void, where you are open to receive. And when you are in this stillness, things can come easily for you to understand which patterns, which behaviors you have. And when you finish, or you change the intention, and you change as well the attitude towards certain things, you can absolutely bring into the next level of the awareness, right? And that will create completely different results. So that's the process of healing. That's the process of really bring yourself or your business into the next level. Yeah.
I would like to read a couple of comments.
Yeah.
Viv says, I have fibromyalgia, I guess, and I had been gardening too much last 2 weeks. I am so resting today. Okay, good for you.
Good.
And
So,
at
yeah.
one point, when we're talking races, exactly, there is only one race, the human race. There is no dividing and conquering now that we are all one.
Mm-hmm.
Phenomenal.
So,
I'm glad. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, no, phenomenal about the fibromyalgia. My background, when I was super young, right? I studied natural medicine, so I'm a doctor in naturopathic, and I was super curious about the psychosomatic of the illnesses, right? The impact that the illness, the body is telling us through our physical body. So the fibromyalgia as well is the tiredness of our body to really respond all the time to things, right? So also gardening is beautiful, but when you are listening to your body a little bit and you say, oh, stop for 1 second, I need to stop for 1 second, this we need to co-create with it. The physical is our amazing carrier that always is giving us so many clues, right? So one of the things that also we need to pay attention is our beautiful body, and to really pay attention, because it's one of the most incredible wise teachers in our entire life. And through the body, we can absolutely understand how we think and how we can create different results, right? And it's important because if you're thinking positively, this is going to impact positively your cellulars, your body itself. If you're thinking and you're feeling all the time in the sadness, this is what you're going to create. You're going to create a body that is stressful, right? And a body that is stressed, you're going to create something that is depleting the homeostasia, the balance and the pH. So if it's not alkaline, right, it's more acidic because we are in stress all the time, boom, illnesses are going to come. So just let's connect it, just honor our beautiful space, and from there be more aware. Let's be the goddess or the god, right, the warrior when we need to do, but as well to give us the opportunity to be in alignment and to listen. We have to listen so much and to be still.
Carla, I work in an integrated cancer treatment here in Los Angeles. We didn't do conventional therapy, we did hyperthermia, which is a heat treatment. And in the last 4 years I was working there, I started interviewing our clients. It was the time that the internet was growing rapidly. I wanted to have videos in YouTube from the testimonials. And just talking to the clients, I learned that everyone who has had cancer had a deep emotional trauma in their lives. After I left the clinic and I started coaching and practicing energy healing, I created an online video summit called Healing Cancer in this Century. And interviewed over 100 people, most of them doctors, and all of them coincide. I remember this doctor who has a couple of clinics in Mexico. He said, in my experience after seeing thousands of patients, he said, there is always a deep emotional trauma at the root presentation of cancer.
That is not solved. That is not bringing into the awareness. So you're constricting your body.
So what you said, this is one of the things that nobody teaches in school. Mm-hmm. This should be taught in elementary school. We need to listen to our body, because the reactions of our body that we call sickness is just what you said. It's the reaction of the body telling you, hey, Carlos, don't stress out because you're going to get that rash, for example.
Yes, I love it. I love it. I'm passionate about that because that gave us so many clues how we can absolutely shift the momentum, right? So everybody that may have, for example, any problem with the digestive system, right? Ask the question, well, you cannot digest in your life, right? And let's start feeling ourselves differently and shift the way how we think, right? And this is leading to another thing that for me is creating like, right? It's like we have in our hands the capability to heal, that's for sure, okay? And the other thing is, it's very easy not to be responsible and to just grab medicines and grab things just to solve something that is within us, right? We are not going to just solve a symptom just by taking a pill. The contrary, you're going to put more of the stumps into the problem. So we are incredible, capable to really start rewiring our brain and to bring the awareness about, okay, if something is in my body, I have to contemplate it. I have to connect with it. First of all, to allow it. Secondly, to accept it. And the third thing, to embrace it, to bring it into the awareness. And this is what healing things are happening easily, right? And you are more aware about our daily processes, right? Is the food that you put in your brain, is the food that you put in your cellular level, is the food how you express yourself, and the way how you are more proactive instead to be more reactive, because reaction is a stress, proactive is love. That's it, no more than that. So, yeah.
I would like to read there is a couple of interesting comments. Sending you good vibrations and blessings.
Oh, that's for you.
So, thank you so much, appreciate it, etc. That you said when I was working in the cancer clinic, all doctors knows, and doctors said stress is the silent killer.
Yes,
the problem is that medicine still is in diapers, understanding that the things come from inside. If we reduce the stress, we could reduce a lot of symptoms that we have. And a couple of days ago, I have a group in WhatsApp with all my high school friends. Imagine all the things that they talk about. But this video was interesting. I am planning to, it's in Spanish, but it's so interesting and caught my attention, the country where is it coming from. So this man, a young man, handsome man, very angry, is telling the mother, I'm not going to see my dad because he didn't take care of me, he forgot about me, he wasn't a good father, and banging on the door of the car, and goes to see the wife. He wasn't living there. The wife didn't want him to enter to see the kids. He brought some toys, and the wife didn't let him get into the building from the intercom. And he's angry, and then he says, and he has a pain in the chest, and he's walking, he falls down and dies. And then he wakes up, and he's in a very dark place, a city, and there is a man portraying God and start talking to him and make him understand that it's not use. There's no use to treat the father like that and the wife. And so the main change, and God is asking him, I need to ask you a question to see where do I send you? And then that God says, I know where I'm going to send you. And all of a sudden, and I thought that was going to happen, the guy resurrects. And what does he do? God tells him, you need to forgive your father. You have no idea what he has to go through when he was a kid or whatever. So when he resurrects, gets the phone, and with joy says, Mom, I'm going to see Dad. Don't tell him anything, I'm going to visit him. And I'm going to see my kids. So he changed. And there are books that talks about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So why people change in that way? What is your opinion?
Well, it's
why we need to hit rock bottom to change?
Because we are physical people in this spiritual pathway that we need to learn the next level and to bring the awareness. It's a beautiful game of, consciousness, this pathway that we choose to be in, right? And I think that because there is a division, right, we are learning from the pain point, right, and to bring us into the awareness with what is capable to do when we are focusing into the positive and into the capabilities that human being has, right? So, as you said before in the beginning of the talk, we are in a different era. All what the parents and grandparents have done it is not valid anymore. The way how we are related to others is not valid anymore. And as well, you mentioned the way how the doctors are treating patients and so on, right? And we have to shift that paradigm as well. Is we want a society that is built in sicknesses, or we want a society that is healthy, and from there we can put ourselves in service to collaborate and to co-create and to bring our gifts into reality, right? So we have to change completely the way how this game is working. And one of the ways is not only to educate in the early ages, right, about love and connection and collaboration, and if not, just observe nature. Nature has the laws that our connectivity is interaction, is not breaking, is not falling apart, right? So we have to learn about a lot of things in that side, and to create another way of connectivity through education to our young generations is another topic that is killing me, right? We are not giving the opportunity to our kids to really expand their gifts. It's just the rules and just putting into paradigms that are closed, and we are not giving the opportunity to expand who they are and give the opportunity to as well to bring into the normal way their gifts and talents and so on. So is we need that to bring our awareness, the soul awareness, right, to the next level, to polish ourselves and to say, okay, we have some work to do, right? And the way how to do it is to shift the victimism into take responsibility and make things happen. And this is the first thing as well in the business side, right? It's not about hustling, it's not about that, it's about, okay, who you are, what are the gifts that you have, and with your voice and with your experiences of life, let's create an impact in this world to create a better world, right? And the tools is by embodiment, is by who you are when you're doing what you're doing, right? And this is the cool thing of incredible successes. Again, it's super cool. It's super, I don't know, it's another way, I guess.
There are a couple of comments. Viv says, I avoid as much as possible medication and eat healthy. I had banana.
Smoothie banana.
I don't know, Weetabix, I don't know what is that. And nuts, and I don't need a lot of greasy food. And since you were talking about education, that we need to transmute the education. This is my opinion. This is not Carla's opinion, but I have a new song. Do you remember Pink Floyd in the 60s? We don't need no education. And because Viv says I try to avoid medication, I made a new song. We don't need no medication. Well, let's leave it.
Yes,
let's leave it like that.
The best medication is smiling, right? Go with the seasons. Eat the food that the earth is giving us for a reason, because it's homeostasia, is balance between the outsider world and our inner world, right? Eat fresh fruits and veggies and so on. Color, I love color in our environment, right? And put intention and attention to the things that brings you up, that brings you that frequency up. And I'm telling you, that's the best healing process, right? And it will give you the nutrients that the body needs to be able to perform with the highest frequency. And that way will bring you better creativity. Ideas will come to you. You will have solutions. You will shift your perspective. And if you shift perspectives, you can absolutely co-create with the realms and co-create in a different way. So yes, and the food is super important, but we have to be aware about which food we put it in, right? If you buy things and it has more than 5 ingredients, I will say this is not food, this is just something else, right? So go with the seasons. Simple, simplicity. I think simplicity is the new way.
Simplicity, that's key. And Viv says, I find vegan, vegetarian is best for me. I've been vegetarian since I was 19, vegan maybe for the last 25 years, and raw food is for, I don't know, 15 years or more, because it's what feels better for me. And Rice says, for the soul to flourish, the body is held by eating a clean diet. Yes. Eating the remains of dead animals is bad karma. You know, we need to respect, but I agree with you. For example, talking about that, one of my friends in the WhatsApp group says, be careful because in this city there is an epidemic. I don't remember the name of the sickness. There are 100 cases because the animals that they slaughter were sick. They didn't do the test and they made the sausage or whatever, and people were eating that. Well, that's what happened. I believe that too, and I think it's good for the planet to eat more things made in nature.
I agree with you. Yes, it's all a change, right? And if we are killing, I mean, when you see animal, all is part of the kingdom. As I said, we are part of the veggie kingdom, the animal kingdom, right, and so on. So all has a reason why we are here together, co-creating together. So the animal kingdom as well, when we are killing animals in these ways, right, they have a stress as well. And this is what you eat. And the stress levels of that poor animal, you're getting into your cellular level, right, and creates as well a sequence of incredible reactions in our body through the chemistry of our body. So we have to be aware about it. I don't say that I'm not eating meat sometimes because my body needs it, but I am very aware about where and how and what I'm doing, in which way I'm doing those things. I'm bringing my awareness and consciousness about everything that I do, right? And as well, 75% of our plate should be raw. And the reason is because we eat alive food, and when it's alive food, you nourish yourself uh, being alive. If we are eating just processed food, right, we are giving just dead products to our cellular level, and this is what we are having, right? People that are more sad and gray, right, and not in expansion. So we have to pay attention about those beautiful small details that has a lot of logic and all based in science. It's not like a Google thing. It's absolutely based in proof and really research and so on. So yes, and as we know, we are energy, right? And all is connecting with certain vortexes. So I said, okay, if you want to be more grounded in the world, right? Or those kids that has incredible ADHD and all these kind of things, don't medicate it at first, please. It's just connecting them with nature. Give them foods that are grounding themselves. Give them carrots and give them beets. And I'm telling you, it's going to shift the perspective of how those kids or us we are interacting and so on, right? So we have incredible tools, essential oils. I mean, I have here like 70 essential oils around me just because intuitively you can operate with them, right, and create different momentums and different perspectives, right? And we have the tools in our hands always. Yes, it's phenomenal. It's really interesting, the process, and for those entrepreneurs as well, because you can create anything just by putting the small pieces together. So it's a phenomenal way to go.
In order to find by yourself that we need help and that we have this toxic baggage that we are carrying and we don't know, we have to practice this awareness. And how do we, or do you define this awareness? Because to me is something that we are not also taught in school, to be aware of our inner self, our thoughts, our emotions, what our body needs and things like that. So how people can start practicing awareness? If you could give something practical that they can start doing right now.
Just listen to yourself, right? Connect with that a part of you that has that intuitive intelligence that is telling you things in the manner that you know that could be something to be aware about it. We all have that intuitive part. The soul is always speaking, right? And when one of the things that is super pragmatic is to create the stillness, right? The silence. When we are all the time in the hustle, doing, we don't have a space to pause. And when we pause is when all the rest of the nature around us is coming together. So we have the possibility to really to listen, right? And to feel really, okay, if I have something that is not right here, what this situation is telling me. And I'm going to have that time to really pause it, right? And to feel it and to embrace it and say, okay, what I have to learn from here, right? Or if you're eating something or you eat something and it's not well, okay, so contemplate it. Stop for 1 second and make the awareness about it. Don't be in autopilot all the time, right? And that's the key, because we are all the time and we are not enjoying what we have in the now. And this is a lesson. I agree with you. This is things that has to be taught from the number one day, right? And the parents and parents to parents and so on. I think that now in the Aquarius era, we have this energy that is more aware and more conscious about the things that happen. So yeah, I'm sure it's going to change the way how we are interacting together.
I would like to read the last paragraph of what I copy from your page, and we just have 5 more minutes. I want to close with a final thought, but because I think it's very important. And you said maybe you are passive aggressive toward a person you feel wrong you, or you feel angry and resentful toward anyone or anything that reminds you of the person or event. That's the subconscious things that you were talking about. Mm-hmm. Even when you think you've found a way to forgive, deep down inside you harbor the memory and the negative emotions that go with it. Thus the event continues to impact you and your life. Well, this is something that many people who hear that for the first time maybe don't get it. But I promise you it's very, very deep.
It is. No, go ahead. Yeah, okay.
Why don't you just elaborate a little bit, and we have just 5 minutes.
Okay, so I mean, we all have situations and circumstances during the day, right? But we all have as well this inner voice that's telling you if you feel okay or you don't feel okay always, right? There is some kind of emotional feeling in your body that is putting you into the alert thing, right? And gives you or asks you questions. So when you are finding something around you that it doesn't match, or it creates some kind of friction, right? All is a kind of a mirror. All is kind of a mirror to be able to be, again, still and to reflect what this person is telling me, or what he wants to teach me, right? Why I'm aggravated with the comment that my kid is telling me this morning, and say, "Ooh, it's not about him, it's about me that I'm reacting to that comment or to that thing." It's my inner child, it's my inner Carla tiny me that's saying, you remember when you were little that someone told you that you are not good enough and blah, blah, blah. So my son is telling me in the same proportion, the same thing, and I'm connecting with that tiny girl, right, that needs nourishment and needs some kind of be protected or whatever, but it's not the reality. It's my inner kid, right? So that's the moments that you can stop for 1 second and start seeing, oh my goodness, I think I need to do some work here, right? Or I need to pay more attention about why I'm reacting and what is I'm telling you one example. I was crazy all the time about seeing my house with all the shoes all over the wall. I couldn't resist it. It's like this put me into fire, right? And I said, what this is creating this frustration in me. And I was just paying attention about my reactions, right? And was that connected with the perfection. I need to have a perfection. It was there less now. Believe me, I'm taking care about that. But it was like a kind of, I need to have everything perfect. And why I need to have perfect, my emotion that was hidden was, if I don't have anything perfect and beautiful, they're not going to love me. Why? Because when I was little, I lost everything. And if I don't, it won't be a good girl, right? No one will see me. So all is related to those. So if we are doing a little bit of questioning, we will go to the core of what the things are coming. And it's a phenomenal game. It's a play game. So every time that things happen, I'm just like, okay, tell me more. Right, let's play this game. And okay, tell me what I can learn. And I'm just taking it in a positive way and say, oh my goodness, yes, I have to do something here. So yeah.
Carla, yesterday I did a live video in Spanish, and I talked about that for a while. Actually, I did a translation from English to Spanish, and this person talked about that when we have a test in life and we resent, we are not making any progress, and probably our growth progress is zero. Caught my attention. You're just talking, but this requires, at least for me, it took a long time to understand that everything that is in front of us is something that we have to resolve, we have to learn, and maybe now humankind, we have a huge thing ahead of us, But maybe it is not that huge if you understand it. And if we start looking for solutions. And we need to see everyone, the change that we want in the world, Gandhi said, be the change that you want to see in the world. It has to start with us,
yeah.
right? And the other thing is, well, to me, awareness starts in the awareness of our own thinking and feelings. So be aware that if we are angry, yes, I am angry and I'm hurting myself. If I feel jealousy, it's affecting me.
Yes, and we have the power to shift it. That's the point, right? So if I feel angry or I feel with fear, why I do feel from there? What is the situation, the trigger that put me in this situation, right? And normally those are having a very low frequency. So that means that you're going to vibrate very low. So everything that is in that same vibration is going to be stuck to you. So if you want prosperity and you want happy life, up level your vibration, up level your frequency, and say, okay, if I have fear or I have jealousy or I have like a kind of envy for someone, I have to look inside and see, okay, I recognize it, but it's not mine, and shift it to the different level, to the lower or to the highest, right? And this is why everything is starting to put into the right place, and that's why so abundance, prosperity, beautiful things are coming to your way instead to be in playing the victimism. And the other thing is because we need to be responsible, right? We always throw in balloons outside of our roof, and it's absolutely the vice versa. We have to be responsible about our things, and this is what creates the cool, the cool thing.
Well, I know that we can be talking for another couple of hours, and we are going to have other opportunities. Especially, everybody is interested on business, but doing it from the conscious perspective. Just adding a little bit of what you said, that we have to be responsible. I had a client a few days ago, and the way he was presented to me by someone else is that he was the victim of another person. After the session, he told me everything about his life that I had no clue, and the most interesting thing, he was taking responsibility of his life. And one of the things that I told him, go talk to these two people that are very, very, very close to him, and tell them I am very sorry of my behavior. But he understood. So anyway, Carla, I thank you so much. And the reason we are doing this, we shift from being activists and showing the reality of the world that maybe is not the real reality, but is what is going on. We are going to shift to be constructive, because we have no other choice.
I agree.
Thank you so much. And I just want to tell you that when you were talking on another of your videos on business, you talk about success is acting because of fear, but you mentioned expansion. And I love this very, very, very much. Maybe on another occasion we talk about what is being working for success or expanding. Expanding is
I love it. Yes,
it's a very important.
And the cool thing is, in the business arena, you can absolutely create quantum fields and leap, really expansion, and bring the abundance that you desire. And one of the things that I work on is the collapse the time, and some of the things that are absolutely, you can bring into your field whatever you desire. It's just to co-create and to understand the law. But that is one of those expansion, because energy is part of that expansion, right? It's creating the movement, it's creating the dynamics. And in business is absolutely amazing, because it's not what you know, it's something completely different that brings you into another level of being and understanding human behavior and human design. You have a very particular design that when you know the coding and you know exactly how you reframe yourself and how you are connecting with the words and that energy behind, oh my goodness, you attract every client and you attract everything that you desire to build up that beauty in life and impacting more people, right? That's the key. So thank you for having me, Carlos. It was a huge pleasure.
Oh, thank you, Carla, and we'll see you. We are going to have Carla again soon. Thank you, everybody. And I don't know what is next, but I am in a week vacation from posting in this platform, and I'm going to take advantage. Probably I'm going to go for 4 days vacation, I don't know where, in nature for sure. Thank you, everybody, and